Today, I get your name screwed up every time. It's an easy name.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you. I light the Christ candle to remind us of the light within each of us. It is the power by which we live, move, and have our being. Assurance, Sunday, March 24. All things are possible through the angel's omnipotence of my secret self. The Apostle Paul frequently wrote of the pain and suffering he endured in the course of his missionary travels. He described his difficulties not as a complaint, but to emphasize his certainty that the ultimate glory of Christ's mind is infinitely greater than mortal limitations. I consider the suffering of this present time, he wrote in Romans 8:18, are not worth comparing with the glory about to be revealed to us. The same spiritual certainty moves me through my day. My intentions may not be revealed. My body and mind may seem intent and emphasize obstacles and fears. Still, I move greatly forward, knowing that nothing can affect my spiritual power that is my true identity. Romans 8:18. I consider the suffering of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory about to be revealed to us. Thank you.
We'll sing the Lord's Prayer together, followed by the meditation, cultivating gratitude, and Ginny's talk. Reverend Ginny's Refresher Course 101.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
We are not singing Anticipation today. There we go. Thank you. And if you gently close your eyes, if you're comfortable doing that, and settle into your chair. Uncross your legs. Place both feet flat on the ground if you choose. And Place your hands in that palm up, receiving position. Breathe several slow, deep breaths. And with each breath, settle more deeply into your chair. Knowing you are supported and held, building a connection and grounded to the earth. Hear the words that I am saying and repeat to yourself. Breathing in, I enter the still point. Breathing out, well-being flows from me. Breathing in, I enter the still point. Breathing out, well-being flows from me. I enter the still point. Well-being flows from me. And say that several more times in your mind. I enter the still point. Well-being flows from me. I invite you to listen and hear the words of a great teacher, which I will be reading to you, knowing that the essence of the words will be received as you need them to be. Our happiness depends upon one thing in life, and that is how we look at life. If we appreciate and value all we have in life, or we depreciate and underestimate all we have. The general tendency is to see what we have not got in life, and rarely there is one so blessed who is wakened to appreciate and be thankful for all they have in life. When we think we lack, there comes a flood of that lack, and it drowns the whole universe, and we find ourselves entirely lacking everything that it is possible to have. And if we begin to realize what we have, this will be added to and will be completed by abundance, so that in the end of our realization, we have been able to find that, really speaking, we have all. And let the music carry you with these words for just a few moments. And I'm going to read the last sentence just one more time. And if we begin to realize what we have, this will be added to and will be completed by abundance, so that in the end of our realization, we shall be able to find that, really speaking, we have all. Breathing with spacious, present moment awareness into the place that resonates with well-being. Say the words, I give thanks, 3 times, slowly, aloud, or quietly to yourself in your mind. And I invite you to take a moment to name 5 things that you're grateful for. It could be simple things, the color of the sky today, the gathering of friends, anything. 5 things. It should be easy. We're a grateful people. and thank the source, be it God, Goddess, divine mystery, or the One, not just for the things or people we are grateful for, but for the gift of being able to feel gratitude. And as we listen to the music in the background, we become more aware of our surroundings, the sounds of this place, feeling the people around us and next to us. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and be here now.
Am I on? Thank you. That was wonderful. Annie just got back from Sedona, and she's still carrying the energy with her. Louis and Monica went to Sedona also, and it was very cold, I heard. Yeah, I was in Arizona at the same time, and it was a little chilly, but that's okay. Thank you all for being here. I made some calls so you would be here. Some people said they would never step foot in here again, and that makes me very sad, so I'm going to work on that healing with those people. Thank you, Doris, for being here. I can't remember a Sunday in those 22 years that Doris wasn't, or Ariana weren't here. And of course, as we know, Ariana made her transition. And I can't look at Doris without remembering the time I had a costume party here for a Sunday, and she came as a roaring 20s dancer, but I wanted to give her first prize, but I couldn't because John Horzen came dressed as a woman, so I had to give him first prize. And then Susan came as Lady Macbeth, I think, and she. Something like that, or yes. Thank you for being here, Susan. Just got back from 2 days at the Memories Theater doing a play. You must be exhausted.
But I'm fine.
Thank you for being here.
Murder mystery, and it was extremely fun. So in November, I'll promote the next one because this is a group that enjoys a fun, affordable evening. You would have loved it.
Yeah. Well, please let us know in advance when the next one is. As you know, Memories is on 57. It's the Linda and Eric, thank you. Patty, everybody, thank you for being here. Memories is on 20, is on the old Weilers in Port Washington. You all must be exhausted. Susan, the Blue Tones from playing here Friday night, the women's group yesterday morning, and here today. My friend Reverend Debbie and Reverend Marlene from the Spiritualist Church in Milwaukee. They were at a casino last night. No, it was a fundraiser at their church. It was a fundraiser at their church. It wasn't Potawatomi. Thank you for all who put the beautiful party here together on Friday night. I'm sorry I missed it. Usually I start my lesson with a joke. One will come to me, but there's something that's kind of funny. We're going to put our house up for sale, and so we haven't rented since 1973. So I started, first place I saw was a nice apartment complex going up in Muskego, which is close to my babysitting job in Waterford yet, and close to the bank, and Pick and Save, and all things, Kohl's and Walmart, all things in Waterford we don't have and we're not close to. So I took the number down, and then I called the lady, and she says, oh, we have a beautiful 2-bedroom unit, she says, overlooking the street. It's very nice. She says, and I said, what's the rent? She says, $1,900. And I said, excuse me, I think you misunderstood me. I don't want to buy it. I just want to rent the place. So boy, was I'm in for a shock. I really have been, and I so appreciate what others go through when they rent and try to find a place to rent. Everybody's here but my husband. He said that because my boyfriend John is here, he felt it would be awkward And no, he won't leave his recliner while there's basketball on, as we know. Wednesday, we celebrated International Day of Happiness, and the U.S. ranked 19th. And I have some other statistics coming up. A very important story that I shared with a gal on an airplane. But anyhow, Finland was number 1. Anyhow, whoever keeps those things. Like I said, I've been speaking here for 22 years. That's a lot of lessons and weddings and transitions and baptisms and picnics and laughter and costume Sunday and parties and great music and et cetera, et cetera. I have spoken in Appleton, Madison, Milwaukee, of course, Kenosha, Illinois, Kansas City, Florida, but this is my home. I thank you for having me back. Thank you. Thank you. My next birthday, I'm going to be 72 years old, and I thought, well, what if I didn't give any more lessons? What would I want to say if I didn't do any more lessons? I'm not retiring by any ways, because ministers have too much of an ego to ever retire. We just get asked to speak less and less, but But anyhow, I came up with things that I've spoken from this pulpit and beat to death at many a pulpit. Number 1, there is only God, all else is a lie. There is only God, all else is a lie. Teaching from Emily Cady, who taught Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. What the heck does that mean anyhow? You've got to have, once and for all, you've got to find one word for the God creator that fits you personally. Just one word out of the many. Father, Mother, Abba, God, intelligence, wisdom. I use source. That's my word for God. And the reason it's so important is you have to have one word that resonates with your soul. You may have one already. Of course, I said mine is source. But I will use the traditional God in my lesson today. But when you hear the word God in my lesson, think of what you want to substitute for God to make that personalized. And then personalize your word by saying it over and over again until every cell in your body accepts the truth. I am one with source. I am one with whatever word you put in. I am one with source. I am one with source. I am one with source. Whatever happens to you, and remember, nothing happens to you. It happens for you. You can deal with it by simply remembering you are one with source. It's like the analogy that we've all heard. A drop of water taken from the ocean still has all the properties as the entire ocean. You are one with that. You are one with the Creator, your source. You are a drop of His or her blood. Unity has an expression. I am a divine, perfect, eternal manifestation of the one and only power from which daily I draw all my good. I am a divine, eternal, perfect manifestation of the one and only source from which daily I draw everything that is good. So we're going to say that out loud together. If you remember this, it's been said. And so put your word in there to yourself. It'll all sound good. I am a divine, perfect, eternal manifestation of the one and only from which daily I draw everything that is good. That's true. That's all you have to know, especially in these times of angst that we're going through. Number 2, every human thought and every human action is based on only 2 things, love or fear. There's only those 2 operatives in the entire world, either love or fear. A lot of the fear is because we fear change, which is incredulous because our bodies are in constant change. Our skin cells change every 2 to 4 weeks. Our colon cells die off after 4 days. Lining of the stomach every 5. Our blood cells replace each 6 months. etc., etc. According to the researchers, the cells in our body are replaced mostly with a new set of cells every 7 to 15 years. We are in constant change, and yet we fear change and we resist change. I'm standing on the spot where there's a lot of change that's been going on. If our cells are in constant renewal, then why do we age and die? Because according to these same researchers, the DNA mutations that go along with the process worsens as they are passed along to new cells. Hence, we still age and die. What cells don't ever change? There are some cells that never are replaced. Guess what? Our cerebral cortex. That is why it is so important to live from your heart and not your head. So important to live from your heart and not your head. Cardiognosis, wisdom of the heart. I have talked about that up here. I have taught heart math from up here. You know what is cool being a minister in this day and age? Is because we teach from scientific fact instead of all that jargon from years ago, handed down centuries ago. When Charles started teaching metaphysically in Kansas City, he was almost ran out of town. And now everybody's doing it because of science. Heart math teaches us that we are all energetically connected. Joel Goldsmith says it is only in the absence of your conscious oneness with God that you fear anyhow. It is only in that absence of your conscious oneness with your Creator, with your source, with your God, with your wisdom, with your intelligence, whatever you name it, that you fear anyway. Number 3, take care of the space within your own skin. I've talked about that before. It may sound selfish. It is not. We are here to be the ears, eyes, hands, feet, and heart of God. There is a philosophy from the Hebrew teachings called Tikkun Olam. We are here to repair the world. I heard this a few weeks ago from Sheila Graves, who is the minister at Living Spirit in Big Bend, who is has a degree in linguistics. So if you don't think she's a phenomenal speaker, but they're closing their church. 4,000 churches close a year. Another New Thought church going up. Be careful, my friends, it can happen. It just breaks my heart, the fact that that church is going to be gone. It's been there for 20 years. Before that, it was a Baptist church. It's been there for a long, long time. But she has to close because of lack of funding. But she'll be available to speak, see? So that's the good thing. She can go around and speak. We cannot do the job she mentioned of repairing the world unless we take care of our vessel first. A cracked cup will not hold water very long. I remember teaching this in prison, and they said, "Oh, you're preaching to the choir here, Reverend Ginny, because we take care of ourselves first. We're survivalists." And I said, "I'm not talking about surviving. I'm not talking about surviving of the fittest. I'm talking about making yourself the best, most generous, gregarious, wonderful, learned person you can be, and then give it all away. Because giving makes receiving possible. And guess what, my friends? You can't outgive God. Giving precedes receiving, always. Take care of the space within your own skin. Be selfish. As I get older, I'm more selfish because I have less energy and less time. Now that I'm 72, I'm going to live to be 102, but that's only 30 more years. So I'm getting more selfish and do those things that I want to do. You know, we've had a terrible winter. A lot of us all over the United States have had what we call a bad winter. But for me, it was a great winter. I got to cocoon. I got to write my stories. As you know, I'm writing stories from all my pictures. It's funny because when kids are doing a project or something, they say, "Call Grandma, she's got all the pictures." Because all pictures are on phones now. You know, call Grandma, she's got the pictures. Anyhow, you can't outgive God. So take care of the space within your own skin and then give it all away. Number 4, get rich quick, count your blessings. And one of those blessings is giving. And give until it helps. I give thanks the moment My eyes wake up in the morning. I have next to me a little footstool with a lid that I can throw things in there, and I put my gratitude list in there, and I put my forgiveness list in there for at night when I go through that. So I have this, and the first thing I do in the morning is I thank God for my nice warm bed. And I don't know if any of you say this, but I say to my bed, I'll be back soon. When 550,000 people are homeless in this country, I give thanks for my bed. I really, really do. And I do my gratitude list before anything else, before I even get out of bed. And then when I get out of bed, the devil says, shit, she's up. But I can't say that in here, can I? I'm going to take a drink with that. I gave up drinking for Lent, and my girlfriend and I and my husband and her husband, we play cards once a month. And she wrote, what do you want me to have in the house to drink? And I said, I gave it up for Lent. And she wrote back 3 times, seriously? 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 Really? Do I have that bad of a reputation? Anyhow, number 5, the law is I am. And I'm glad to see it up on the dove here. Whoever did that, that's cool. And what's with the hat and that is so cool. Susan did that? Oh, no. Patty, cool. Is that going to change with the seasons?
No, it was just for our spring break.
Oh, well, it's kind of cool. Cool. Yeah, thank you. Number 5, the law is I am. The law of attraction, which I have beat to death up here, is always at work. How could it be otherwise? When you say I am and connect it to an affirmation or idea, the source power moves it into expression through your consciousness. And it makes no choices, my friend. It produces exactly what you connect it to in thought and feelings. So be careful. We are what we think, and our thoughts always create our reality. Always, always, always. What kind of a God do we believe in that would do it any other differently? You cannot afford the luxury of a negative thought. So whether you think you can or think you can't, you are 100% right. Teach that to your grandchildren and your children. It is estimated that we have over 60,000 thoughts a day, but mostly reruns. You want a better life? Think better thoughts. This is not rocket science. Our thoughts create our reality every single time. You know, I can't look at Louie and Monica. I got to stop here. Monica, before you and Louie became a couple, I never heard anybody call him Hurricane Louie, and now they all do. Just saying. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. All right. Want a better life? Think better thoughts. I don't care what people say. This is the truth. This is scientifically proven. Your thoughts create your reality. It can be no other way. All right, number 6. Think twice, speak and act once. Think of all the hurt feelings, misconceptions, anxiety, stress we could avoid if we did this one thing. Think twice before we speak and act once. Most problems in life are because of 2 things anyhow. We think without acting, and we act without thinking. Act and speak only if your words are then true, kind, and helpful. Think twice, speak and act once, but only if those actions and words are true, kind, or helpful. And what is truth anyway? We mention truth all the time in this truth church. Truth is what is true of God. And you know, really, when you tell the truth, there's less to remember. And I can say this with certainty. I have often regretted my words, never my silence. And I learned this a few years back at a seminar. It's called the pause. Learn to pause. When angry, pause. When in doubt, pause. When tired, pause. When stressed out, pause. When ready to strike back, pause. Isn't that a wonderful philosophy? Pause. We don't do that. We're such a rush for the other people to shut up so we can say something. Really. We hardly even listen because we just want them to shut up so we can say something. At least that's the way I do it. And as long as you're pausing, you might as well pray, which I will talk about a little bit later. Number 7, write it down, make it happen. Goals are dreams with deadlines. All agreements with yourself need to be in writing. Otherwise, it's just a good idea. And the older you get, the less you remember. So that idea is out the head. Write it down, make it happen. Writing it down sends a note to source. Hey, I'm ready for my good. Writing your goal down triggers the RAS, reticular activating system at the base of your brain, which in turn sends a message to the cerebral cortex. Wake up, pay attention. Don't miss the coincidences coming your way. When you write it down, the RAS puts all that into motion. But instead of coincidence, I like to call them God incidences. Once you write a goal down, your brain will work overtime to see that you get it. Make that list of goals grand as you can. The grander, the better. Nelson Mandela said, playing small does not serve the world. Whatever those goals are, write them down, make them grand. Nothing is impossible with God. There's a great book written by Henriette Clauser. Write it down, make it happen. We all have iPhones now. There's no excuse not to write it down. When you get something comes to you, write it in your iPhone. There's no excuse. You don't have to be at home in front of a pen and pencil anymore. Once you set your goals, be alert to all the God incidences coming your way. And write them down so you will not forget them. Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, says, no one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief when you write these goals down, not hope or wish. It must be I am. It must be I will, I am, I do, I have. Not I hope I get this or I hope this. No. Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich. Number 8, live in the moment. That's where God lives. That's where your God lives, in the moment. Living in the moment is the best spiritual practice you can do. It makes living mindful. The present moment continues with your awareness or without. If you are not aware, you have no power in the moment. Byron Katie says, if you are mentally somewhere else in the moment, you are missing life. How often are we not in the moment? Seems like all day. We're not in the moment. Worried about what's coming up next or what we did yesterday. Live in the moment. You know, Wayne Dyer, the great Wayne Dyer said, you have a past, but not now. You have a future, but not now. You only have the now. So live in it. And most of all, living in the moment makes the soap opera of life stop for a commercial break and receive a message from your sponsor, God. Number 9, pray but move your feet. Of all the questions I got in jail, the most were about prayer. Does God really hear my prayers? Does praying even work? I prayed I wouldn't end up in jail, and here I am. Well, because you prayed but didn't move your feet. You prayed but still committed the crime. There's no amount of prayer that's going to take that away. You prayed, but you didn't change a thing about yourself. You didn't move your feet. I prayed for years to be thinner, but until I went on a diet, it didn't happen. And boy, let me tell you, losing 60 pounds, that that is right. Whoever came up with that word. But guess what? Guess what? Ginny's favorite time, Easter, with the chocolate marshmallow eggs from Walmart for $1. And they're made in America. Zachary, Indiana, or someplace. Or maybe they get them from China, I don't know. But I already have 6 boxes stocked in the closet, away from the grandchildren. None of them can reach that high. To Easter Sunday, when I have my cocktail, I'm going to have my marshmallow eggs. Anyhow. The word prayer in Aramaic, the language Jesus spoke, means setting a trap for the mind of God. Jesus spoke in the language of Aramaic. And that's what prayer means, slotha, setting a trap for the mind of God. There is only one prayer, however, many variations, but there's only one prayer. I have given to this a million times, you know this. It is to clear the cobwebs from your consciousness, the fear, fatigue, anxiety, hurt feelings that interfere with your receptivity so that you don't impede the flow of God's energy through you. Because we're all energy. God is sending us energy constantly. There's only one reason for prayer and one way to prayer. It is to clean the cobwebs from your consciousness, the fear, fatigue, anxiety, stress, and hurt feelings that interfere with your receptivity so you do not impede the flow of God's energy to you. That's all you have to remember about prayer. Forgiveness. Number 10, forgiveness. And this has really just happened to me. But anyhow, Jesus, the great teacher that he was, and you can believe the story or not, I don't know what your particular beliefs are, but from the cross, as he was getting crucified, the last words he spoke were, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He could have said a million things because it was going to be recorded for posterity. Everybody, down even to 2019, would be repeating that. So he chose to say that. So forgiveness is above all the greatest teachings, Christian teachings. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. My seatmate next to me on the plane was working on her computer, young gal, and I said, "What you working on?" She says, she said, "I told my professor that the number one ranking cause of personal debt in the United States is college loans, followed by auto loans and credit card loans. The number one ranking cause of personal debt in the United States is college loans." So my professor says, "Well, why don't you do a thing on statistics about America? Why don't you do that?" And he says, "Maybe you can sell it and pay off your loans." Young girl named Rachel. And so she sent this all to me, and it was a life-changing experience. So the United States is number one in medical research, technological innovation, artificial intelligence, robotics, television and other media, movies, billionaires, aerospace and aviation, Olympic medals, charitable giving, dog and cat ownership, beef production, cheese production, oil production, nuclear power production, cosmetic surgery, and fast food. Some of the things I wrote down. We also rank number one in the amount of prisoners per population. We have 4.4% of the world population, yet we house 22% of the world's prisoners. We rank number one in defense spending, although we have not been invaded since the War of 1812. Part of her dissertation was that it is estimated, now I don't know where she got all this research, I'm just repeating. It is estimated by 2100, now that's like 81 years away. The world population will be 11.2 billion. And scientists believe that is the maximum capacity the Earth can sustain. Now, instead of us and all these countries spending all this money on defense, etc., and war, maybe we ought to throw it into aerospace, more searching the planets for another inhabitable place, because in 81 years we're going to need it. 62% of all personal bankruptcies are for medical bills in a country that has 50 million without insurance. Now this is coming up on Tuesday. In 2018, we placed 26th out of 32 countries in voter turnout. We have an election on Tuesday, and guess what they already predict? A week from Tuesday, April 2nd. They're already predicting such a low turnout. Please turn that around. I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. It's not like we have choices, like other countries have 8 and 10 political parties. We have 2, but you have 2 choices. So I don't care who you vote for, just get out and vote. But we do lead the world in guns. We have 393 billion guns, million guns. So we lead the world in guns anyhow. But anyhow, she did this dissertation and it just goes on and on and on and on. And so what I thought about is, forgive me. I told this, Rachel, forgive me and my generation for allowing this to happen. Forgive me. I don't know if you'll get forgiveness from another person, but I'm asking your forgiveness and I'm saying I'm sorry. Namaste.